My wife stopped wearing her wedding ring on a Tuesday. Not dramatically, not with tears or a speech. She just stopped. I noticed it the way I notice everything in my profession. Quietly, cataloging the detail for later. The pale band of skin on her fourth finger told me more than any confession could. Before we go deeper into this mess of lies and double lives, please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and click that hype button to keep these stories coming. I am a notary. People think that means I just stamp documents and witness signatures, but the truth is simpler and darker. I read lies for a living. I watch people sign away their futures, their properties, their marriages. I see the trembling hands, the averted eyes, the too casual laughter that means someone is about to commit fraud or break a promise. 7 years behind that desk taught me that paper does not lie. People do. Hailey Bennett became Hailey Caldwell 3 years ago in a small ceremony that cost less than her current monthly salon expenses. Back then, she loved my steadiness. She said I made her feel safe. She said she was tired of drama and bad boys and empty promises. That was before Wylan Jordan came back to town. I first heard his name again at Jimmy's Diner, where I take my coffee every morning before opening the office. Margaret, the waitress who has known me since high school, leaned over the counter with that look people get when they are about to tell you something they think you want to know, but absolutely do not. "Did you hear Wylan Jordan is back?" she said, refilling my cup. "Apparently he made it big, real big. Tech investments or something. Driving a car that costs more than my house." I nodded politely and paid my bill. Wylan Jordan. The name tasted like copper in my mouth. Hailey's high school sweetheart. The guy who broke her heart senior year when he left for college and never called again. She mentioned him exactly twice in our marriage, both times with that distant look people get when they are remembering someone who hurt them, but also made them feel alive. 3 days later, Hailey came home at 9:30 instead of 6:15. Her salon closed at 6. The drive took 12 minutes. "Where were you?" I asked from the kitchen table where I was reviewing documents. "Oh, just inventory took longer than expected." She would not look at me. Her hand went to her neck, touching a necklace I had never seen before. Small, delicate, expensive looking. "That's new," I said. She glanced down, as if surprised to find it there. "This? No, I've had it forever. You just never notice anything, Matthew." "But I do notice. That is my curse and my weapon. I notice everything. The changes came faster after that. New perfume that smelled like it cost more than our mortgage payment. Gym memberships. Hair appointments twice a week instead of twice a month." She started wearing makeup to bed, which she never did before, and taking her phone everywhere, even to the bathroom. I said nothing. I watched. I documented, mentally. Evidence for a trial I had not yet decided to prosecute. 2 weeks after the ring disappeared, I came home early to drop off papers I had forgotten that morning. Hailey's car was in the driveway. So was a silver Porsche I did not recognize. I walked in quietly. Not sneaking, just my normal quiet self. The living room was empty, but I heard voices from the kitchen. Laughter. Hailey's laugh, but different. Higher, flirtatious, the laugh of someone performing. I stood in the hallway and listened. "You always knew how to make me laugh," Hailey said. "Matthew is so serious all the time. Everything is documents and rules and logic with him." "Sounds boring." Male voice, deep, confident, the voice of someone who has never doubted himself. "You deserve excitement, Hailey. You deserve to feel alive." "I know." Her voice dropped lower. "I think I married too young. I think I was scared and chose safe instead of happy." I stepped into the kitchen doorway. They were sitting at my kitchen table, coffee cups between them, close enough that their knees almost touched. Wylan Jordan looked exactly like his Facebook photos. Expensive haircut, tailored clothes, watch that probably cost more than I made in 3 months. He had the easy smile of someone who has always gotten what he wanted. Hailey jumped when she saw me. "Matthew, you're home early." Forgot some papers, I said calmly. I looked at Wylan. You must be the famous Wylan Jordan. He stood, extending his hand with that confident smile. That's me, and you must be the husband, Matthew, right? I shook his hand. Firm grip, the kind men use when they are establishing dominance. I let him think he won. That's right. How do you two know each other? High school, Hailey said quickly. Wylan just moved back to town. He stopped by the salon and I invited him over for coffee. As friends. Old friends catching up. Of course, I said. I looked at Wylan. Welcome back. If you need any notarial services, my office is on Maple Street. Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise, maybe, that I was not reacting the way he expected. I'll keep that in mind. I grabbed my papers from the study and left. In my rearview mirror, I saw Wylan's Porsche remain in my driveway for another 47 minutes. That night, Hailey tried to act normal. She cooked dinner, asked about my day, touched my shoulder the way she used to. But her phone buzzed every few minutes, and each time it did, her eyes flickered toward it with desperate hunger. You can check it, I said. What? No, it's nothing. Probably just salon stuff. Hailey. I set down my fork and looked at her, really looked at her. Do you want a divorce? The question hung in the air like smoke. She stared at me with her mouth slightly open, caught between denial and relief. What? Why would you ask that? Because you stopped wearing your ring. Because you come home late. Because you look at your phone the way people look at life rafts. Because you just told a man you barely know that you married too young. I kept my voice level, neutral. So I'm asking, do you want a divorce? Tears filled her eyes, but they felt calculated. Matthew, I don't know, I'm confused. I feel like I missed out on something, like I settled. You did settle, I said. You settled for someone stable and reliable instead of someone exciting. That was your choice. Now you have to decide if you want to undo that choice. You make it sound so cold. I make it sound honest. I stood up and cleared my plate. Think about it. Let me know. I left her at the table and went to my study. Through the door, I heard her crying softly. Then I heard her phone buzz again, and the crying stopped. 2 days later, I prepared divorce papers. Simple, clean, 50-50 split of assets. I could have protected myself more, built-in clauses and protections, but I wanted her to think I was being generous. I wanted her to think she was winning. I presented them to her on a Saturday morning over coffee. She looked at them like they were a snake. You actually did it? You want excitement. You want to feel alive. I can't give you that. So take it. I slid a pen across the table. No lawyers, no fighting. Just sign and go be happy. Just like that? 3 years of marriage and you're just done? No, I said. 3 years of marriage and you're done. I'm just acknowledging it. She signed. Her hand shook a little, but she signed. And when she was finished, she looked at me with something like disappointment, as if she wanted me to fight, to beg, to prove I cared. I notarized the documents right there at our kitchen table, my own divorce papers. The irony was not lost on me. Where will you go? She asked. I'll find an apartment. You can keep the house for now. We'll settle everything properly later. Matthew. She reached for my hand. Are you okay? I pulled my hand back gently. I'm fine, Hailey. Go be with Wylan. Go be the person you think you should have been. She left that afternoon, packed 2 suitcases and walked out to a silver Porsche that appeared in my driveway exactly 14 minutes after I texted her that the papers were signed. I watched from the window as Wylan got out and hugged her, as he loaded her bags into his trunk, as he kissed her forehead like he was rescuing a princess. He looked up at the window and saw me watching. He smiled, a victor's smile, a smile that said he won. I smiled back. People think notaries just witness signatures, but we do something more important. We verify identity. We confirm authenticity. We make sure people are who they claim to be. Wyland Jordan was not who he claimed to be, and I had 2 months to prove it. Hailey's social media transformation happened overnight. Suddenly, her feed exploded with photos I never saw when we were married. Champagne brunches, shopping bags with designer logos. Her salon's interior, halfway through an expensive renovation she definitely could not afford on her business income alone. Every photo had Wyland in it or near it. His hand on her shoulder, his car in the background, his watch visible in the corner of the frame like a signature. The captions made my teeth ache. Finally living my best life. Sometimes you have to let go of good to find amazing. Upgrade complete. Her friends commented with flame emojis and heart eyes. Her clients congratulated her. Everyone celebrated her escape from boring, stable Matthew Caldwell into the arms of successful, exciting Wyland Jordan. I watched it all from my new apartment, a modest 1-bedroom above a bookstore that smelled like old paper and coffee. I did not comment. I did not like or react. I simply observed and waited. My first real break came from an unexpected source. Leslie Carver walked into my office on a Wednesday afternoon with a stack of documents that needed notarization. Leslie was a journalist for the local paper, the kind who actually investigated instead of just rewriting press releases. "Matthew Caldwell," she said, settling into the chair across from my desk. "How's the divorce treating you?" "Small town. Everyone knew everything." "I'm managing. What brings you here?" She pushed the documents toward me. "Estate paperwork. But I also wanted to ask you something off the record." I looked up from the papers. "I'm listening." "What do you know about Wyland Jordan?" The question surprised me enough that I stopped pretending to read the documents. "Why?" "Because I'm working on a story about suspicious investment activity in the area. Nothing major, just small-time stuff, but his name keeps popping up in weird places. Expensive lifestyle, vague explanations about his income, rumors about a fund that nobody can quite verify." She leaned forward. "And because your ex-wife just moved in with him and started spending money like it grows on trees." "I don't know much," I said honestly. "He claims to be a millionaire. Tech investments, supposedly." "Right. Tech investments." Leslie's smile was sharp. "Here's what I found. Wyland Jordan's father passed away 18 months ago. Left him a substantial inheritance. Around $2.4 million, according to probate records. That's public information." I waited. "Here's what's not public. Wyland burned through most of it in less than a year. Casinos in Atlantic City, bad stock plays, expensive cars he couldn't maintain. By the time he moved back here 6 months ago, he was down to maybe $300,000. Still rich by normal standards, but not millionaire rich, not Porsche and penthouse rich." "So, how is he funding his lifestyle?" "That's what I'm trying to figure out. He started something he calls the Jordan Opportunity Fund about 4 months ago. Micro-investments, he calls it. Small amounts from local investors, promised returns of 15 to 20% annually. He's pulled in maybe 200,000 from about 30 people. "That's not against the law," I said. "No, but it's suspicious when the guy running it has no financial credentials, no business history, and a track record of burning money." Leslie pulled out her phone and showed me a screenshot. "This is from a gambling forum, username Wyland J, posting about losing 40 grand in one weekend in Vegas. Same weekend he told investors he was at a tech conference in San Francisco." I studied the screenshot. The details matched. Same time frame, same bragging tone I recognized from Wyland's personality. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because I think he's running a small-scale Ponzi scheme, and I think your ex-wife is about to get caught in the blast radius, and because I need someone who understands documents and fraud to help me verify some things." She met my eyes. "I heard you're good at reading between the lines." "I am, but I'm also the scorned ex-husband. Anything I do looks like revenge." "Maybe. Or maybe it looks like due diligence. Your call, Matthew." She left her business card and the estate papers. I notarized them carefully, stamped them properly, and added her card to my wallet. That evening, I drove past Hailey's salon. The lights were on despite it being after hours. Through the window, I could see her and Wylan standing close, looking at paint samples or fabric swatches. She was animated, excited, gesturing widely. He had his arm around her waist, possessive and casual. I wondered if she knew she was dating a man who was slowly going broke. I wondered if he had told her the money was running out. I wondered if the salon renovation was his way of hiding assets in her name before everything collapsed. 2 days later, Wylan walked into my office. He did not make an appointment. He just appeared in my doorway at 3 p.m, hands in his pockets, that same confident smile on his face. "Matthew, got a minute?" "For what?" I did not stand or offer him a seat. He sat anyway, sprawling in the client chair like he owned it. I wanted to clear the air, man to man. There's no air to clear. You wanted Hailey, she wanted you. I signed the papers. That's the end of it. Right, but I know how these things go. Hurt feelings, bruised ego, maybe some thoughts about making trouble. He leaned forward. "I just want to make sure we understand each other." "And what is it you think I need to understand?" "That Hailey is happy now. Really happy. Happier than she ever was with you." He said it casually, like he was commenting on the weather. "And I'd hate for anyone to try to mess that up by spreading rumors or causing problems." "Rumors like what?" His smile tightened. "I don't know, Matthew. You tell me. Have you been talking to reporters, asking questions about my business?" So he knew about Leslie. Someone must have told him. Small town syndrome again. I kept my expression neutral. "I talk to lots of people in my line of work. Journalists get documents notarized like everyone else." "Sure they do. I just want to make sure that's all it was. Because if someone started poking around my finances, spreading lies, trying to scare my investors, well," he shrugged, "that could be considered slander or tortious interference, legal problems for that person." "Are you threatening me?" "I'm educating you." He stood up. "Hailey deserves her happiness. You had your chance and you were boring. Now she's with someone who can give her the life she deserves. Don't ruin that because you're bitter." I stood too, meeting his eyes across my desk. "Wylan, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to hear it clearly. I'm listening. If you have actually made millions in tech investments, if your fund is legitimate, if your money is clean, then you have nothing to worry about from me or anyone else. Due diligence will only confirm your success." I paused. "But if you're running on fumes and an inheritance you already burned through, if you're paying old investors with new investor money, if you're one audit away from collapse, then your biggest problem isn't me. It's math. And math always wins." His face went carefully blank. "I don't know what you're talking about." "I think you do. And I think you're terrified that people will figure it out before you can extract yourself." I walked around the desk and stood close enough that he had to look up slightly. "Here's my education for you. I'm a notary. I verify truth. And when the truth comes out about you, and it will come out, Hailey is going to be left holding the bag. That's not my revenge. That's just consequence." He tried to maintain his smile, but it cracked at the edges. "You don't know anything. Then you have nothing to worry about." He left without another word, but as he reached the door, I called out to him, "Wylan?" He turned. "If you've already burned through the inheritance, do it quietly. People still think you're rich. Once they know you're not, everything falls apart." His jaw clenched. He wanted to say something, to threaten or defend or attack, but he could not find the words. So he just walked out. I sat back down at my desk and opened my computer. I had work to do. The next 3 weeks taught me more about financial fraud than 7 years of notary work ever did. I learned how easy it is to look rich when you are going broke, how simple it is to maintain an illusion when people want to believe it. Wylan Jordan was a master of the performance. I started with public records, probate documents from his father's estate, property transfers, business registrations. His father, William Jordan, had been a genuine success. Software consulting firm, 3 patents, smart investments. When he passed from a heart attack at 62, he left Weiland everything. $2.4 million. Gone in 14 months. I traced what I could. A Porsche 911 purchased for cash. A condo in the city, sold 8 months later at a loss. Casino markers from Atlantic City and Las Vegas. A boat he owned for 6 weeks before defaulting on the dock fees. The pattern was consistent. Acquire, display, abandon. Move on to the next shiny thing before anyone noticed the last one was repossessed. The Jordan Opportunity Fund was his Hail Mary. He launched it 4 months ago with a glossy website and borrowed credibility. The pitch was simple. Small investments, high returns, exclusive access. He promised 15% annual returns, which any legitimate financial advisor would tell you is a red flag in today's market. But Weiland did not target sophisticated investors. He targeted people like his high school friends, local business owners, people who wanted to believe their hometown boy made it big, people who invested with their hearts instead of their heads. 32 investors. Total capital of $207,000. Leslie helped me piece together the rest. She had sources in banking, connections in the financial sector. We met twice a week at a diner 30 minutes outside town, where nobody knew us. He's paying early investors with new investor money, she said, pushing a folder across the table. Classic Ponzi structure. The first people who got in last fall received their quarterly returns right on time, 12%, paid in January. That convinced 6 more people to invest in February. Where's the money actually going? Rent on the condo he pretends to own. Car payments on the Porsche that's actually leased. Hailey's salon renovation. Restaurants, trips, maintaining the image. She tapped the folder. He's not investing anything. There is no fund. There's just a bank account he's draining to look successful. How long until it collapses? 2 months, maybe 3. He needs $40,000 to pay the next round of quarterly returns. He has about $18,000 in the fund account, and his personal expenses are running $10,000 a month. The math doesn't work. What happens when he can't pay? Investors start asking questions. Someone files a complaint. State regulators get involved. The whole thing unravels. Leslie leaned back. The tragedy is, if he had just taken the inheritance and lived modestly, he could have been comfortable for life. Instead, he wanted to be a big shot. I thought about Hailey, about the way she looked at Weiland like he was salvation, about the salon renovation that was probably funded with stolen investor money. Is Hailey implicated? Not yet. But she could be. Weiland has been using her salon's business account for some transfers, probably to make the paper trail more complicated. If this goes legal, prosecutors might look at her as a co-conspirator or money launderer. She doesn't know, I said. She thinks he's legitimate. Doesn't matter. Ignorance isn't a legal defense when your account is used for fraud. I took the folder and thanked her. That night, I reviewed everything 3 times. Documents don't lie. The numbers told a story of desperation and delusion. Weiland Jordan was not a millionaire. He was a rich kid who confused inheritance with intelligence and was about to lose everything. The question was what to do about it. Part of me wanted to walk away, let karma handle it. But karma doesn't care about collateral damage, and Hailey was about to become collateral. I still had not decided what to do when my phone rang at 11 that night. Unknown number. Matthew Caldwell? Male voice, rough, unfamiliar. Speaking. You need to stop asking questions about Weiland Jordan. My apartment suddenly felt smaller. Who is this? Someone who wants you to mind your own business. Weiland is a friend. Friends protect each other. Stop talking to reporters. Stop digging into his finances, or you'll regret it. The line went silent. I sat there with my phone in my hand, pulse elevated but mind clear. Weiland had sent someone to scare me, which meant I was getting close to something that scared him. I called Leslie. We need to move faster, I told her. He's spooked. What happened? I explained the call. She was quiet for a moment. Matthew. If he's desperate enough to threaten you, he might be desperate enough to do something stupid. Are you sure you want to keep pushing? He dragged my ex-wife into his mess. Yes, I'm sure. All right. I'll reach out to my contact at the state financial regulators, see if we can get them interested, but it might take time. We might not have time. 3 days later, everything accelerated. One of Weiland's investors, a man named Thomas Brennan, who ran a local hardware store, showed up at Weiland's condo, demanding to withdraw his investment early. His daughter needed surgery, and he needed the money back. Weiland couldn't pay him. The confrontation happened in the parking lot outside a bar where Weiland was having dinner with Hailey and some friends. Thomas showed up angry and loud, accusing Weiland of stealing his money, demanding answers. I know this because I was driving past and saw the whole thing. I parked and watched from a distance. Thomas was red-faced, jabbing his finger at Weiland's chest. Weiland was trying to calm him down, hands up, voice soothing, but the math was the math. He could not return $30,000 he no longer had. "You promised!" Thomas shouted. "You said it was safe. You said you were investing it." "Thomas, please, let's talk about this inside, privately." "No, I want my money now." Hailey stood behind Weiland, confused and frightened. She did not understand what was happening. She thought she was dating a millionaire. She did not realize she was dating a fraud. Security came out of the bar and separated them. Thomas left, shouting threats about lawyers. Weiland stood there, shaken, his carefully maintained composure cracked. That was when he saw me sitting in my car across the street. Our eyes met. His face went from shaken to furious in an instant. He started walking toward me. I got out of my car and met him halfway. "Did you do this?" he hissed. "Did you tell Thomas to come here?" I didn't have to tell him anything. "You did this yourself. You're trying to destroy me." "No, Weiland. You destroyed yourself. I'm just watching it happen." He grabbed my jacket. "You self-righteous piece of work. You think you're better than me?" "I don't think anything. I know things. I know you're not a millionaire. I know you burned through your inheritance in a year. I know you're running a scam and you're about to get caught." "Shut up." But his voice cracked. "People still think you're rich. Once they know you're not, everything falls apart." He let go of my jacket. Behind him, Hailey approached cautiously. "Weiland? What's going on? Who was that man?" "Nobody," Weiland said, not taking his eyes off me. "Just a misunderstanding. He said you stole his money. He's confused. I'll handle it." Weiland stepped closer to me, lowering his voice. "Stay out of my life, Matthew. Last warning." "Or what? You'll have someone call me again? Threaten me?" I smiled. "You can't afford hired muscle anymore, Weiland. You can barely afford that car payment." I left him standing there and drove home. In my rearview mirror, I saw Hailey arguing with him, her hands moving frantically, his face defensive and angry. The first crack had appeared. The collapse was coming. The confrontation with Thomas Brennan was not an isolated incident. Within a week, 3 more investors contacted Weiland requesting early withdrawals. Word was spreading that something was wrong. Weiland could not pay any of them. Leslie's contact at the state financial regulator's office started asking questions. Those inquiries spooked Weiland enough that he made a critical mistake. He tried to recruit new investors to cover the shortfall. The emails went out on a Tuesday morning. Jeremy Lucas, a colleague who did estate planning, brought one to me during lunch. "You know this guy, right? Your ex-wife's boyfriend?" I read it. Desperate cheerfulness. "Exclusive opportunity for qualified investors. Final slots available in the Jordan Opportunity Fund. Guaranteed returns. Limited time offer." Guaranteed returns. The words that get financial regulators very interested. "What do you think?" Jeremy asked. "I think he's drowning. Don't invest. Tell anyone who asks not to invest." That afternoon, Leslie called. "The regulator wants to talk to you, tomorrow." The meeting took place in a gray office building. Patricia Vance, the regulator, was sharp-eyed with no patience for nonsense. "Mr. Caldwell, Ms. Carver tells me you have information about Wyland Jordan's investment activities. Some. I've been reviewing public records and talking to concerned parties. Why? Because my ex-wife is involved with him, and I don't want to see her get hurt. Patricia studied me. That's honest. Most people in your position would want revenge. Maybe I do, but right now, I want truth more. She opened a folder. We've been investigating Mr. Jordan for 2 weeks. His fund is not registered. His promises violate several securities laws. Based on bank records we've subpoenaed, he appears to be operating a Ponzi scheme. How much longer until you move? We need evidence that he knew he was defrauding people, that he had intent. Right now, he could claim ignorance. He threatened me. Had someone call and tell me to stop asking questions. Her pen paused. Can you prove that? Phone records. Unknown number, but the timing is clear. That helps. But we need more. We need him to admit he knows the fund is fake. I left with a mission. Get Wyland to admit it. Get it on record. 2 days later, I was closing my office when I heard shouting outside. 3 men surrounded someone against a car. Wyland. One had him by the collar, another jabbed a finger in his face, the third filmed on his phone. More angry investors. I walked outside. Gentlemen, I'm calling the police unless you back away. The one holding Wyland was huge and angry. Who are you? A concerned citizen. Let him go. This piece of garbage stole my money, $25,000. Maybe, but assault won't get your money back. It'll just get you arrested. I held up my phone. I'm counting to 5. They let him go. Not because they were scared, but because they were smart enough to know I was right. They left, still shouting threats. Wyland straightened his jacket, trying to regain composure. I didn't need your help. I didn't do it for you. I did it so you wouldn't become the victim in this story. I stepped closer. How much longer, Wyland? How much longer until you can't pay anyone? I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. The fund is empty. You're paying old investors with new investor money. That's textbook fraud. His face went pale. You can't prove anything. I don't have to. Math will prove it for me. When the next quarterly payment comes due, you won't have the money. Investors will file complaints. Regulators will investigate. And everything you've built will collapse. Why do you care? Because Hailey is going to get caught in the explosion. You used her salon account for transfers. When they arrest you, they'll look at her too. For the first time, I saw real fear in his eyes. I never meant for that to happen. But it did happen, and now you have a choice. You can let this play out and drag her down with you, or you can come clean before it gets worse. Come clean? Are you insane? I'll go to prison. Maybe. But if you cooperate, if you admit what you did and help return what's left, you might get a lighter sentence, and Hailey might stay clear. He stared at me. You still care about her. I care about what's right. There's a difference. He laughed bitterly. You really are as boring as she said. Better boring than desperate. I turned to leave. You have 48 hours before I give everything I have to the regulators. Use them wisely. I walked away, leaving him standing in the empty parking lot. Hailey called me 36 hours later, 3 in the morning. I answered on the second ring. Matthew? Her voice was broken, shaking. I need help. What happened? Can you come? Please? I don't know who else to call. I drove to the condo she shared with Wyland. She met me at the door, mascara streaked down her face, wearing an oversized shirt and sweatpants. Not the glamorous life she had been posting online. He's gone, she said. Wyland. He left. When? Tonight. We had a fight. A terrible fight. She wrapped her arms around herself. People have been calling all day, angry people, saying he stole their money, saying they're going to sue. I didn't understand what they were talking about. I asked Wyland and he lost it, started yelling that everything was falling apart, that you ruined everything. Me? He said you've been spreading lies about him, turning people against him. He said you're jealous and vindictive and you can't stand to see me happy. I said nothing. But then I checked the salon account, the business account. Her voice dropped to a whisper. There were transfers I didn't authorize, large amounts, money going in and out that I never approved. Matthew, what did he do? He used your account to move investor money, to make his fraud harder to trace. She sank onto the couch. Oh God. When did he leave? Around 11. Just grabbed a bag and left. Said he needed to think, but his passport is gone, and his laptop. She looked up at me with desperate eyes. Am I going to prison? Not if you cooperate. Not if you tell the truth. What truth? I don't even know what he did. He ran a fake investment fund, took money from people with promises he couldn't keep, used your salon to hide the money trail. It's called a Ponzi scheme. But I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I believe you. But you need to tell that to the authorities before they come to you. She started crying again. Real crying this time, not the calculated tears from before. I ruined everything, didn't I? I left you for a lie. I gave up everything for someone who was just using me. Yes. The bluntness made her flinch. You could at least pretend to be sympathetic. You wanted honesty, Hailey. You said I was too logical, too cold. Well, here's the logic. You chose excitement over stability. You chose the illusion of wealth over actual security. Now, you're dealing with the consequences. I know I hurt you. I know I was terrible to you. But please, Matthew, please help me. I looked at her, really looked at her. 3 months ago, she was my wife. Now she was a stranger who happened to share my past. I'll help you, not because you deserve it, but because it's the right thing to do. Thank you. But you need to do exactly what I tell you. Tomorrow morning we go to the state regulator's office. You tell them everything. Every transfer, every conversation with Weiland, everything he told you about his business. You cooperate fully. Will that keep me out of prison? It should. If you're genuinely a victim of his fraud, if you had no knowledge of what he was doing, cooperation will help your case. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I really messed up, didn't I? Yes. But at least you're admitting it now. I left her there and drove home as the sun came up. My phone rang as I pulled into my parking spot. Leslie. You're up early, I said. Couldn't sleep. I got a tip. Weiland Jordan tried to board a flight to Mexico last night. They stopped him at the airport. They arrested him? Not yet, but they flagged his passport. He's on a watch list now. Can't leave the country. Good. That means he's trapped. Matthew, there's something else. One of my sources says the FBI is getting involved. This isn't just a state issue anymore. They're looking at wire fraud, money laundering, the works. How bad? 5 to 10 years if convicted. Maybe more if they can prove he knew what he was doing from the start. I thanked her and hung up. 5 to 10 years. Weiland's fake millionaire life was about to become a very real prison sentence, and I was going to make sure it happened. The next morning, I took Hailey to meet Patricia Vance. Hailey was nervous, picking at her nails, her leg bouncing under the table in the small conference room. She had dressed carefully, trying to look responsible and innocent. Simple clothes, minimal makeup, hair pulled back. The uniform of someone trying to prove they are not a criminal. I sat beside her, calm and solid, an anchor in her storm. Patricia listened as Hailey explained everything. The salon account. The transfers she did not authorize. The way Weiland had asked her for her banking passwords, claiming he was helping her organize her finances. How he said mixing business and personal expenses was bad accounting. How he promised to set up a better system for her. Did you ever suspect something was wrong? Patricia asked, her pen moving steadily across her notepad. No, I trusted him completely. He seemed so successful, so confident. He knew about business and finance, things I don't really understand. I thought he was helping me. Hailey's voice was small, ashamed. Patricia made more notes. Did Mr. Jordan ever explicitly tell you he was using your account for his investment fund? No, never. He said the transfers were for tax purposes, to keep business and personal separate. He said I'd been doing it wrong and this would protect me if I ever got audited. But you signed off on them. Hailey's face crumpled. Yes, I'm so stupid. I should have asked more questions. I should have looked more carefully. But I trusted him. I thought he loved me. I thought he wanted to help me. Not stupid, I said quietly. Trusting. There's a difference. Patricia looked at me, then back at Hailey. Her expression softened slightly. Ms. Bennett, based on what you've told me today, I don't believe you were a knowing participant in Mr. Jordan's fraud. However, you will need to provide us with all documents, passwords, and access to your accounts. Everything. And you may be called as a witness when this goes to trial. Are you willing to do that? Yes. Whatever you need. I just want this nightmare to end. Good. One more thing. Do you know where Mr. Jordan is right now? No. He left last night. I haven't heard from him since. I've tried calling, but it goes straight to voicemail. Patricia nodded, unsurprised. We'll be issuing a warrant for his arrest later today. If he contacts you, you need to let us know immediately. Don't talk to him about the investigation. Don't warn him. Don't try to help him. Just call me. She slid a business card across the table. We left the building an hour later. Hailey looked drained, hollow, like someone who had just survived a terrible accident and was still processing what happened. What happens now? She asked as we walked to my car. Now you wait. The investigation will take time, weeks, maybe months before the trial. You cooperate with everything they ask. You rebuild your life. What life? My salon is probably going to be seized as part of the investigation. My reputation is destroyed. Everyone in town knows I was with Wylan. They'll all think I was part of it, that I helped him steal their money. Some will. But the truth will come out eventually. You were a victim too. People will understand that. She stopped walking and turned to face me. The morning sun was bright, making her squint. Why are you helping me? After everything I did to you. After I left you for him. After I told you that you were boring and that I settled. Why are you doing this? Because you're not a criminal, Hailey. You're just someone who made bad choices based on poor judgment. You deserve consequences for those choices. Losing your marriage, your reputation, your sense of security. Those are consequences. But you don't deserve prison. You don't deserve to be punished for someone else's fraud. I really am sorry, Matthew. For all of it. For leaving you. For the things I said. For not appreciating what we had until it was gone. I know you are. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? I thought about that. About the nights I spent reviewing documents, building the case against Wylan. About the cold satisfaction I felt watching his empire crumble. About the small, quiet part of me that still remembered what it felt like to love her, before she became someone I didn't recognize. Maybe, I said carefully. But not today. Maybe not for a long time. Forgiveness isn't something you can rush. It happens on its own schedule. She nodded, accepting that. Fair enough, that's more than I deserve anyway. I drove her back to the condo. As she got out of the car, she hesitated, one hand on the door. Matthew, one more thing. What? Thank you, for being exactly who you've always been. Stable, honest, logical. I called those things boring, but right now, they're the only things keeping me from falling apart completely. I watched her walk inside, shoulders slumped, moving like someone much older than 32. Then I drove to my office. I had 3 appointments that afternoon. Documents to notarize, signatures to witness, the ordinary work of verifying truth in a world full of lies. My phone buzzed. A text from Leslie. They arrested Wylan an hour ago, caught him trying to get on a bus to Canada. Had 2 suitcases and $12,000 in cash. Complete panic mode. Thought he could just run. I smiled. Not a happy smile, a satisfied one. The smile of someone who predicted exactly how events would unfold and watched them do precisely that. The math had won, just like I said it would. Another text came through, this one from Patricia Vance. Thank you for bringing Ms. Bennett in. Her cooperation is valuable. We're moving forward with charges against Jordan. Wire fraud, securities fraud, money laundering. He'll be arraigned tomorrow. Thought you'd want to know. I replied with a simple, thank you, and set the phone down. Tomorrow, Wylan Jordan would stand in front of a judge and hear the charges against him. Tomorrow, the carefully constructed lie of his success would become official public record. Tomorrow, everyone would know what I had known for months. That he was not a millionaire, he was a fraud, and I was the one who proved it. Wylan's arrest made the local news. The story had everything people loved. Hometown boy returns rich, sweeps woman off her feet, turns out to be a fraud. The comment sections exploded with schadenfreude and judgment. Hailey deleted all her social media accounts within 24 hours. I went to visit Wylan 3 days after his arrest. The detention center was exactly what you would expect. Gray walls, fluorescent lights, the smell of industrial cleaner trying to mask desperation. They brought him out in an orange jumpsuit. His hair was messy, his face unshaven. The confident smile was gone, replaced by hollow-eyed exhaustion. "What are you doing here?" he asked, sitting down across from me. "I came to make you an offer." "An offer? Are you serious right now?" "Very serious." I leaned forward. "The prosecutors have a strong case. Wire fraud, securities fraud, money laundering. You're looking at 10 years minimum, but there's a way to reduce that." "I'm listening." "Full cooperation. Give them everything. Every investor, every transaction, every lie you told. Plead guilty, express genuine remorse, help them recover whatever money is left." Why would I do that? Because if you fight this, if you force them to trial, they'll destroy you. They'll paint you as a predator who targeted vulnerable people. They'll show every casino receipt, every luxury purchase, every lie. The judge will give you the maximum sentence. He slumped in his chair. "I'm already destroyed." "Not yet. Right now, you're just a guy who made terrible choices. If you cooperate, you become a guy who made terrible choices but tried to make it right. That matters to judges." "What's in it for you?" "Hailey stays clear. The prosecutors confirmed she wasn't involved, but there's still civil liability. Investors might sue her to recover losses. If you publicly state she had no knowledge of your fraud, that helps her case." He laughed bitterly. "You're still protecting her, even after everything." "I'm protecting the truth. She didn't know. You used her." "Yeah, I did." He rubbed his face. "You know what the worst part is? I actually thought I could fix it. I thought if I could just recruit enough new investors, I could pay back the old ones and start over. I thought I could make it legitimate. That's what they all think. But Ponzi schemes don't get better. They only get worse. I know that now." He looked at me. "You were right, by the way, about everything. I wasn't a millionaire. I was just a guy who inherited money and wasted it, and I was too proud to admit it." "What happened to the money, Wylan? The inheritance? How did you burn through $2 million in a year?" "Stupidity? Arrogance? I thought I was smarter than everyone else. I made bad investments, lost big in casinos, bought things I didn't need to impress people I didn't like." He shook his head. "My father built everything from nothing, and I destroyed it all in 14 months. Why come back here? Why start the fund?" "Because I was desperate. I had $300,000 left and I was burning through it fast. I thought if I could use it as seed money, create some wins, I could rebuild. But I didn't know what I was doing, and every mistake made it worse." "And Hailey?" "Was a mistake too. I saw her at the grocery store that first week back. She looked exactly like she did in high school, and I remembered how she used to look at me, like I was special. I wanted to feel that again, so I lied. I told her I was successful, and she believed me because she wanted to." "You used her?" "Yeah, I used her. Just like I used everyone else. He met my eyes. You can hate me for that. I hate myself for it. I don't hate you, Wylan. I pity you. That seemed to hurt more than anger would have. He flinched. So what's your offer? Really? Cooperate fully, plead guilty, make a statement clearing Hailey, help the prosecutors recover whatever you can. Do that, and I'll write a victim impact statement supporting leniency. You'd do that? After everything? I'd do it because it's what's best for everyone. You get a lighter sentence. Hailey stays clear. Investors get closure. Everyone moves forward. He was quiet for a long moment. All right, I'll do it. Good. I stood up. Your lawyer will have the details by tomorrow. Matthew? I turned back. You really are better than me. Hailey was stupid to leave you. She wasn't stupid. She was human. We all make mistakes. The question is what we do after. I left him there and walked out into the sunlight. One more piece falling into place. The next 2 weeks moved fast. Wylan signed a plea agreement. Full cooperation, guilty plea to multiple counts of fraud, agreement to help recover assets. In exchange, the prosecutors recommended 8 years instead of 15. Hailey's salon was not seized, but she had to provide detailed financial records. The renovation stopped halfway through. She couldn't afford to finish it. I saw her once during this time at the coffee shop where we used to go on Sunday mornings. She looked tired, older somehow, wearing jeans and a plain t-shirt instead of the designer clothes from her brief Millionaire phase. Hey, she said, sitting down across from me, uninvited. Hey. I heard Wylan took a plea deal, that he cleared me officially. He did. You're not facing charges. Because you made that happen. I didn't deny it. Why, Matthew? Why do all this for me? Because it was right. That's it? Just because it was right? That's it. She laughed sadly. You're such a good person, and I treated you terribly. You did, but carrying anger doesn't help anyone. Are you really not angry? I thought about that. I was, when you first left, when I saw you posting photos with him, showing off the life you thought you deserved. But anger takes energy, Hailey, and you weren't worth the energy. She flinched. Ouch. You wanted honesty, that's honesty. Fair enough. She traced patterns on the table with her finger. I'm selling the salon, can't afford to keep it. Going to work for someone else for a while, rebuild slowly. That's smart. Yeah, stable, boring, all the things I said I didn't want. She smiled without humor. Turns out boring is pretty valuable when everything else falls apart. Stability usually is. Matthew, can I ask you something? Sure. Did you do this for revenge? Any of it? I considered the question carefully. I did it for truth. If that destroyed Wylan, that's because his life was built on lies. Truth always wins eventually. I just accelerated the timeline. That's not really an answer. It's the only answer I have. She nodded, accepting that. Well, thank you, for everything. And I'm sorry. Truly sorry. I know you are. Think we'll ever talk again, after all this settles? Probably not. We don't have anything to say to each other anymore. Yeah, I guess not. She stood up. Take care of yourself, Matthew. You too, Hailey. She walked out. I watched her go, feeling nothing but quiet relief that this chapter was finally closing. My phone buzzed. Leslie. Got news. The sentencing hearing is scheduled for next month. Wylan's lawyer is pushing for minimum time based on cooperation. Will he get it? Probably. The prosecutors are satisfied with his help. The judge will likely go with 8 years, out in 5 with good behavior. And the investors? They'll get back about 40% of what they lost. Not great, but better than nothing. Good. That's good. Matthew, can I ask you something? Go ahead. Was this about justice or was this about revenge? 2 people asking the same question in one day. Does it matter? To me? No. The outcome is the same. but I'm curious about your motivation. Let's just say it was about making sure the truth came out. Everything else was consequence." She laughed. "You're a fascinating man, Matthew Caldwell. I'm a notary. I verify truth. That's all I've ever done." I hung up and finished my coffee. Outside, life continued. People walked past, living their small dramas, making their choices, building their houses of cards. I went back to my office and back to my work. Documents to review, signatures to witness, truth to verify. It's what I'm good at. The day of Weiland's sentencing arrived on a cold, brittle morning in late October, the kind of morning where the air bites at your lungs and everything feels sharper, heavier. I made my way to the courthouse not out of obligation, but out of a quiet need for closure. I wanted to see the final chapter written with my own eyes. Inside, the courtroom was only half full, but the silence carried the weight of every life Weiland had touched. There were investors scattered across the benches, people who had once trusted him with their futures and were now left picking through the rubble. Reporters lined the side row with their notepads and cameras ready, sensing the end of a story that had fed headlines for months. A few townspeople had drifted in too, drawn by curiosity or morbid fascination. Hailey sat alone in the back corner, almost folded into herself, doing everything she could to disappear into the woodwork. She didn't look at me, and I didn't look for long. There was nothing left to say between us. When the bailiff opened the side door, Weiland was brought in. He wore a navy suit that looked freshly pressed, clearly something his attorney had scrambled to provide. But the clothes couldn't hide the truth. He seemed reduced. The swagger, the easy charm, the false confidence that once filled every room he entered was gone. In its place was a man who looked smaller, older, and suddenly very aware of the damage he'd caused. It was hard to believe this was the same person who had walked into my kitchen months earlier, full of arrogance and promises he never had the intention or ability to keep. The prosecutor presented the case. 8 counts of securities fraud, 3 counts of wire fraud, 1 count of money laundering. Weiland's guilty plea meant no trial, just sentencing. Then came the victim impact statements. 5 investors spoke. Each one described how Weiland's lies had affected them. Retirement savings gone, college funds depleted, dreams destroyed. Weiland listened with his head down, shoulders slumped. When they finished, the judge turned to Weiland. "Does the defendant wish to address the court?" Weiland stood. His voice was quiet, sincere. "Your Honor, I want to start by apologizing to everyone I hurt. I made terrible choices. I lied to people who trusted me. I stole from people who believed in me. There's no excuse for what I did." He paused, gathering himself. "I inherited wealth from my father, a good man who built something real, and I destroyed it through arrogance and stupidity. When I realized what I'd done, instead of accepting responsibility, I tried to fix it by lying more, by creating a fake investment fund, by taking money from innocent people." Another pause. "I've cooperated fully with prosecutors. I've provided every document, every password, every detail they asked for. I've helped recover what little is left. It's not enough. It will never be enough. But it's all I can do now." The judge made notes, expression unreadable. "I accept full responsibility for my actions. I deserve punishment. I just hope that someday, somehow, I can make this right." He sat down. The judge reviewed the documents before her, taking her time. Finally, she looked up. "Mr. Jordan, this court has seen many fraud cases. What distinguishes yours is not the scale, which was relatively small, but the personal nature of it. You didn't target strangers. You targeted your community, people who knew you, people who wanted to believe in you." Weiland kept his eyes down. "However, this court also recognizes your cooperation and your guilty plea. You've saved the state significant resources and helped victims recover some losses. That matters." She paused. You are sentenced to 8 years in federal prison, followed by 3 years supervised release. You are ordered to pay restitution of $140,000 to your victims. This is the amount the court determines you can reasonably repay over time. The gavel came down. It was done. As they led Wylan out, he glanced back at the courtroom. His eyes found mine for just a moment. I gave him a small nod. He nodded back. Outside, reporters swarmed. I avoided them and walked to my car. Leslie caught up with me in the parking lot. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Satisfied." "That's it? Just satisfied?" "What else should I feel?" She studied me. "Most people in your position would be celebrating." "I'm not most people. Justice happened. That's enough." "You're a strange man, Matthew." "So I've been told." I drove back to my office and returned to work. 3 appointments that afternoon: an estate signing, a power of attorney, a property transfer. Normal work, honest work. That evening, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Hello? Mr. Caldwell, this is Detective Sarah Mills. I'm calling about a situation that's developed." My stomach tightened. "What situation?" "We have reason to believe that associates of Wylan Jordan may be looking to intimidate witnesses. We wanted to make sure you're taking appropriate precautions." "Associates?" "He was working alone." "Not exactly. We've learned he borrowed money from some questionable individuals to maintain his lifestyle. They're not happy about their money being gone." "Great. What kind of precautions?" "Be aware of your surroundings. Vary your routine. If anything seems off, call us immediately." She gave me her direct number and hung up. I sat there for a moment, processing. Wylan's mess was still creating ripples. I called Leslie and told her. She cursed. "This could get ugly, Matthew. These people don't play games." "I'm aware. Maybe it's time to step back. Let the authorities handle it. I've already done everything I need to do. The case is closed. Be careful anyway." "Always am. But careful only goes so far." 2 days later, Wylan's transport to federal prison had a scheduled stop at the courthouse for some final paperwork. I knew this because Patricia Vance had mentioned it during our last conversation. I went there. Not sure why. Maybe to see it truly finished. Maybe to confirm it was real. I waited in a side corridor, watching through a window as they brought him through. He was in handcuffs, flanked by 2 marshals. He looked even smaller now. Then Hailey appeared from the opposite direction, moving fast. She looked panicked, her face pale. "Matthew!" She grabbed my arm. "Thank God you're here. I need to tell you something. I should have told you before, but I was scared and I didn't know how, and oh God, everything is such a mess." "Slow down. What's wrong?" "I'm pregnant." The words hung in the air between us like smoke. "What?" "I'm pregnant. 2 months. And I don't know if it's yours or his." The world tilted slightly. "What?" "We slept together. The day before I left. Do you remember? You came home early, we had that talk about trying to fix things, and we—" She trailed off. "And then 2 weeks later, I was with Wylan. And now I'm pregnant, and I don't know whose it is." I stared at her, trying to process. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because I took a test 3 days ago. Because I'm terrified. Because you're the only person I can tell." Down the hall, the marshals were processing Wylan. He hadn't seen us yet. "Does he know?" I asked. "No, I just found out." My mind raced through implications, timelines, possibilities. "You need to take a paternity test after it's born." "I know. But Matthew, if it's yours, if it's mine, then we'll deal with it. If it's his, then we'll deal with that too. But right now, you need to focus on taking care of yourself. I'm so sorry. For all of it. For leaving you, for lying, for this mess." I looked at her. Really looked at her. And for the first time in months, I felt something other than satisfaction or anger. I felt tired. "It doesn't matter anymore, Hailey. What's done is done. But the baby, We'll figure it out, but not here. Not now. The marshals finished their paperwork and started moving Wyland toward the exit. He saw us then. His eyes went from me to Hailey, to her hand protectively over her stomach. He stopped walking, forcing the marshals to stop too. "What's going on?" he asked. I made a decision. I walked over to him. The marshals tensed, but didn't interfere. "Wyland," I said quietly, "I want you to know something." "What?" "Everything you built was a lie. The money, the lifestyle, the success, all of it. But here's the truth." I leaned closer. "I took everything from you. Your reputation, your freedom, your future, and I did it methodically, carefully, legally." His face went pale. I gave all my evidence to the prosecutors. I coordinated with the regulators. I made sure every investor knew what you did. I made sure Hailey was protected while you went down." I paused. "And I made sure you knew it was me." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I want you to spend the next 8 years thinking about it. Thinking about how the boring, logical notary destroyed everything you tried to build." His jaw clenched. "You think you won." "I don't think. I know." I glanced back at Hailey, then at him. "And here's your real legacy." I stepped aside so he could see Hailey clearly, her hand on her stomach, her tear-stained face. "She's pregnant," I said, "and she doesn't know if it's mine or yours, but either way you'll never know. You'll never see it. You'll never be part of it, because you'll be in prison while I'm out here, living my life." Understanding and despair crossed his face in waves. "That," I said softly, "is your true legacy." The marshals pulled him forward. He didn't resist. He just stared back at Hailey as they led him away, his face crumbling. I turned and walked out of the courthouse, leaving Hailey standing there alone. The steel exit door closed behind me with a final, echoing bang.